All right, so picture this, right? A sightseeing helicopter, way up high above the Hudson River, and then suddenly it just breaks apart, like right there in the air. It's a pretty shocking image.
Oh, absolutely. Shocking and tragic. And that's what we're going to try and unpack today. This New York City helicopter crash from Thursday, April 10th, 2025.
We've got a whole bunch of sources lined up, news articles, the usual suspects like AP News, People.com, The Independent, even a bit from Bored Panda, plus a transcript from some YouTube coverage from NBC New York. Oh, and some extra bits and pieces here and there. But the idea isn't just to repeat the news, right?
Right.
We're going deeper. We want to understand, really understand what happened that day, who was involved, what happened immediately after.
Yeah.
All the crucial details. And maybe some surprising stuff, too.
Exactly. Connect the dots, paint a clearer picture of this terrible event.
A clear picture without overwhelming anyone, of course. So let's just start at the very beginning. Yeah, with the incident itself. When and where did this all happen?
Okay, so Thursday, April 10th, 2025. The Hudson River, that stretch separating Manhattan from the New Jersey waterfront. And reports from both the NYC Fire Department and the Hoboken Fire Department, they specifically mention the New Jersey side as the crash site, Jersey City too.
So it wasn't just a simple helicopter going down, was it? I mean, the first reports made it sound much worse.
Yeah, no, it was worse. Eyewitnesses described, well, it was horrifying, really. The sightseeing helicopter broke apart while it was still in the air, then crashed into the river upside down.
That's it. I mean, just terrifying. How many people were on board?
6 people in total, and they all lost their lives. The pilot and 5 passengers. It was a family visiting from Spain.
A whole family. Wow, what did people actually see? Like those first moments, what were they saying?
Well, we've got a few initial reports. One witness, Danny Horbiak, she was in Jersey City. She described hearing sounds like gunshots out of the sky just before the crash. Another witness, Bruce Wall, he saw the helicopter, as he put it, falling apart while it was still in the air.
Falling apart?
Yeah. He specifically said the tail and the main rotor came off.
Mm.
And what's really striking is he saw the main rotor spinning as it fell. Like it was separate from the helicopter entirely.
The main rotor, just like spinning down on its own. That's a very disturbing image.
Yeah, very disturbing. And we've got another witness, Jane Raymond Brier. She also saw she called the propeller separating from the helicopter. Said it just kept spinning independently. Danny Horbiak, she backs this up too. She saw the helicopter splash in several pieces into the river.
So it wasn't just one impact. The helicopter was already coming apart in the air. Were there any videos, from people watching?
Oh, yeah. There are cell phone videos showing the rescue boats right after the crash searching the river. Mm. And they did recover the wreckage from the water.
Okay, so let's talk about the victims. This was a family all the way from Spain.
That's right. They've been identified. The father, Agustin Escobar, is a big name at Siemens, global CEO for rail infrastructure, Siemens Mobility. He used to be the CEO of Siemens Spain, too, based in Berlin. His wife, Mercè Camprubí-Montal, she was a global manager at an energy technology company. And she also worked for Siemens Energy in Barcelona.
3 children losing their parents. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, all 3 kids, 11 and younger. And it gets worse. The mayor of their hometown, he said they were actually in New York to celebrate one of the children's birthdays.
It just makes this whole thing so much more, tragic.
Yeah.
What has the reaction been like back in Spain?
Oh, it's been, mourning, obviously. Huge sense of loss. The mayor of Portolano, that's where Mr. Escobar was from originally, he called him a brilliant son in a statement. The Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, he also talked about it, calling the crash an unimaginable tragedy. Offered his condolences to the family, of course, and we know now they lived in Barcelona's fame.
And I heard the family was getting some immediate help, right?
Right. Mr. Escobar's brother-in-law, he was actually flying to New York to help with, getting the family's remains back to Spain, just to help with arrangements in general.
Let's shift gears now and talk about what could have caused this. We know there are investigations going on.
Right. The NTSB and the FAA, they're both doing full investigations, trying to figure out exactly what led to the helicopter breaking apart like that.
Have any experts weighed in, with theories or early insights?
Yeah, a few. This aviation lawyer, Justin Green, he used to be a Marine Corps helicopter pilot, and he thinks it was probably a catastrophic mechanical failure. He suggested the main rotors might have hit the tail boom.
Hit the tail boom, okay.
Yeah, something like that could cause the kind of structural separation that people saw. And then, the main cabin just falls uncontrollably. He doesn't think anyone on board would have been able to do anything, once that happened.
So just a sudden, completely uncontrollable situation in the air.
Sounds like it. And that fits with what people were saying about the helicopter coming apart while it was still flying.
I remember seeing something about a radio message from the pilot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk online about this, about a radio call the pilot supposedly made just after takeoff. He said he needed fuel. Some people are wondering if that could explain what happened, if there was a problem with the fuel. But, there's a lot of skepticism, too.
It does seem a bit strange, right? I mean, you wouldn't normally think a lack of fuel would make a helicopter just disintegrate.
That's right. Engine failure is one thing. Obviously, it's serious. But it doesn't usually mean the helicopter breaks apart. They have this thing called auto-rotation. If the engine fails, the pilot can use auto-rotation to land safely. They use the airflow to keep the rotor spinning.
Yeah.
But if major parts break off, like the main rotor or the tail boom, that's a different story. Auto-rotation wouldn't work then.
So even if he did say he needed fuel, it doesn't seem like that would explain the kind of structural damage people described.
Right. And to add to that, Dan Rice, he's a helicopter pilot from New York, flies the same model, a Bell 206. He also thinks it was a catastrophic failure. He saw one of the videos, said the whole main rotor system was just gone.
Gone. You mentioned something earlier, mast bumping. What is that exactly?
Yeah. So mast bumping, it happens in helicopters with a specific kind of rotor system called a teetering rotor system. And the Bell 206, this helicopter, it uses that. Basically, think of the main rotor like a giant seesaw, okay? If the pilot moves the control stick too suddenly or too much, too abruptly, the rotor can tilt way too far. And when that happens, the blades, or even the hub, they could hit the main mast of the helicopter. It's all about the forces, the aerodynamics. If that impact is strong enough, it can really damage the structure.
So could that have caused the helicopter to break up in the air?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if the blades then hit the tail boom. So the investigators, they're definitely going to be looking at that and whether the pilot made any unusual or sudden movements with the controls.
Makes sense. They'll be looking at everything, the mechanics, human error, flight data, anything that can help them understand what happened. But like you said, it wasn't immediately clear what the exact cause was.
Right.
They're calling this the latest high-profile aviation disaster in the U.S. That seems to imply it's not, a one-off event, that there have been other accidents recently and people are worried about safety.
Yeah, that's true. The AP News report, they mentioned a few other tragedies, like that medical transport plane crash in Philadelphia back in January. 7 people died in that one. And that midair collision, the American Airlines jet and an Army helicopter in Washington. So yeah, after all that, it's no wonder people are concerned.
And now with this crash, there's a lot of focus on helicopter flights in New York City. This isn't the first time safety concerns have come up, is it?
No, not at all. There's been a lot of talk over the years, even proposals, about banning or at least restricting helicopters at those Manhattan heliports. And it's for a couple of reasons. Safety, obviously, because there have been accidents in the past, but also because of the noise.
The noise, right.
Yeah. People who live nearby, they complain about the noise all the time. The Independent, they actually reported that since 1977, there have been at least 38 deaths from helicopter accidents in New York City.
38 deaths since 1977. That's a lot. It shows this isn't just a random, isolated event.
Exactly. These sightseeing flights, they offer an amazing view of the city, no doubt.
Yeah.
But there are risks, too, especially in a place like New York, where the airspace is so busy. I think this crash is going to make those concerns even bigger. People are going to be talking even more about the safety and the rules around these helicopter flights.
So let's try to sum this all up. A sightseeing helicopter breaks apart over the Hudson River. Everyone on board dies, the pilot and a family of 5 tourists. Witnesses describe this horrific scene, the helicopter coming apart in the air, the rotor just spinning away. The victims, they were visiting from Spain, a family here to celebrate a child's birthday. The father was a high-level executive at Siemens. His wife also worked in the industry. And now the investigations are trying to determine the cause, looking at things like mechanical failure, human error, maybe even mass bumping, this thing you were talking about. And then there's that radio call from the pilot saying he needed fuel, but it's not clear what role that played.
You got it.
This whole tragedy, it brings up a lot of questions about helicopter safety in general, especially in New York City, a place that's already seen a lot of these kinds of accidents.
It's important to remember the human cost here. A family, on vacation, a trip that should have been full of joy. Instead, it ends like this. A major company losing one of their top people, and everyone who saw it happen, that must have been just awful.
Absolutely. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, think about those first reports, people saying they heard what sounded like gunshots, seeing that rotor spinning off on its own. Then you have the pilot saying he needs fuel. What does it all mean? How did it happen so fast? It's a lot for investigators to sort through to try and piece together what went wrong. And then there's the bigger picture, the future of these flights in cities like New York. Do the risks outweigh the benefits? It's a question we all have to think about.